All right, I want to make a follow-up video to the video I made yesterday about Trump's ominous statements and the Andrew Weissman's letter about Bill Barr and all the prosecutions and going into all of this before the election. Well, I read this article after I saw this article after I made that video, and it looks like there are some additional things that could be in play here. Now, we don't know exactly what is going on here, but we do know that there are a lot of Trump's going after a lot of people. A lot of people for a lot of things. And so we have this from the Gateway Pundit. Rumors swirling. The president's recent actions indicate something huge is about to drop, and it does appear that way. So, the president's recent actions indicate that time may be very close where the deep state and Obama gang might finally have to face the music. On Friday, we reported that President Trump spoke to workers at a Whirlpool factory in Clyde, Ohio, to tout his efforts to restore America's manufacturing base. During the speech, Trump also spoke about his work to reform prescription drug pricing in the pharmaceutical industry. Now, we already covered much of this, so this is kind of what we talked about yesterday in the video. So how he said he has a lot of enemies, and this might be the last time that we see him for a while, and it was very unusual. I played the video in the last video I put out, so if you haven't seen it, go ahead and watch that video, and it's kind of gives you a primer on this. And so this might only be the beginning. According to Brian Cates, there is much, much more. Before the president departed on his trip to Ohio, then to travel to his Bedminster, New Jersey resort this weekend, the White House staff lined up to wish him well. When has this ever happened? And so we have this picture here. Brian Cates says, "You all know why Trump has now left the White House, being seen off by his entire White House staff before traveling to Ohio, because he won't be back for a while to go to his resort in Bedminster, New Jersey, right?" And so here's the picture. And let me see if I can zoom. Oh, it's not letting me zoom in on it. I guess when I'm running the record, it won't let me zoom in. But you can see here that all of these people are lined up outside the White House to see Trump off. We can see the helicopter blades from Marine One here. He's on his way out. Now, there are numerous reasons why the deep state and the Obama gang should be worried. From Brian Cates. Everybody focuses on Spygate, 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 or Obamagate, Obamagate, Obamagate is the new name some have adopted for the scandal. But step back and remember the big picture. What were Obama and co. so desperate to keep hidden if Trump won the election? And that is interesting because, I mean, I myself have been caught up in the Obamagate situation. And, what does kind of get lost in the fray is why were they so worried about Trump? And that's what this is going to get into here. So it's going to go even deeper into the root of the problem. And so Brian Case continues, "I can think of 3 things off the top of my head that Obama, Hillary, and Biden and a whole lot of the D.C. swamp would be frantic to keep from hearing exposed." So, of course, Uranium One involved numerous... so it looks like the Gateway Pundit is actually getting ahead of the tweets. This probably should be a follow-up here to the tweet. So I'm going to read the tweet and then I'll go back up. Uranium One, the sale of 25% of the U.S. uranium stocks, placing them under the direct control of Vladimir Putin and the Russians. Massive bribes paved the way to get the deal done to sell out our country. People who took that dirty money are desperate to keep it buried. And the media kept this story completely buried. I mean, whenever I bring this up to people, it's like they've never even heard of it. They never even knew that it happened. So, of course, the Uranium One involved numerous crimes by Obama and Hillary. This was when they sold American uranium to Russia. The billions in aid gifted to other countries is also a major scandal from the Obama years. Not much has been shared about this to date, but the Ukraine was involved. This is why the Ukraine-related... why the Ukraine-related impeachment was created. So, from Brian Cates here, untold billions of dollars in U.S. aid sent to corrupt foreign governments where U.S. officials not only knew that much of this aid money was going to be stolen, they kept the money flowing in exchange for a couple $1,000,000 kicked to them under the table in D.C. So, they were robbing American citizens. That is robbing American citizens. When you, if you're charging taxes to send billions of dollars over to a corrupt government that is just going to steal that money and keep it for themselves, and then they kick you back money under the table, they're robbing us of billions so that they can make millions. Think about that for a second. Think about what that means. What kind of people they have to be to do this to the people that they're supposed to be serving. These are not civil servants. These are people who are completely self-interested and using the government to enrich themselves at the cost of Americans. We shared years ago that the Anthony Wiener laptop may be key. Wow. So if we have the Weiner laptop coming into play here, this could be huge. And we've heard Sidney Powell, Michael Flynn's attorney, talk about this. So the Obama gang did all they could to cover up and discard the information on the laptop. We were never provided with the information on it or its current whereabouts. So Brian Cates says here, the Weiner laptop, which is reported to have had stuff on it that caused veteran NYPD detectives to throw up. And that's what Sidney Powell was talking about. And then he'll add a fourth here. The secret side deals and bribery that went on to get the Iran deal done, as well as all the Obama White House spying on members of Congress opposed to the deal and reporters investigating the illegal activity. Yeah, the Iran deal seemed corrupt as could be. How we sent, was it like $150 billion to Iran, just pallets of cash? And I've gotten in arguments with people before about how they said, well, that was already Iran's money, it was just frozen. It wasn't Iran's money in the sense of what Iran is today. That was Iran's money before the Islamic Revolution. So it was a completely different government. Back before the Islamic Revolution, in what was it, 77 or 79, Iran was actually a very Western civilization. They had a very Western society. It was, women there would wear clothes like we wore in the West. They'd hang out and go to clubs, and they'd have a good time. And that's when they were kind of allies to America. Back then, Iran actually was an ally to America. And then the Iranian Revolution happened, and all of a sudden it was just hijabs for women and terrorism. And so it was a completely different regime. So to say that that was their money, it was not. It was not the mullahs' money. In fact, the mullahs overthrowing Iran was why the money was frozen, to keep it away from them. It wasn't their money. So yes, clearly something is about to happen. We've certainly waited a long time for it. So from Brian Cates here, something's about to happen. Trump needs to be in a tightly controlled environment while whatever this is goes down. And a lot of people have access to the White House that will not have access to him in Bedminster. So it sounds like he's almost holing up in his New Jersey resort. So the Optima FBI raids in Cleveland and Miami 3 days ago set off a clear signal to the president's enemies that yes, indeed, he and Barr and Rudy are going to see this through. They are really going to do it, and they have not been bluffing. Now, I did not actually hear about these raids. I wonder why. Sure, a lot of people have not heard about these raids. Of course, the Ukraine is involved in massive corruption related to the Democrats. We already know Joe Biden was involved there. And Brian Cates continues, those FBI raids in Cleveland and Miami were directly linked to the Ukrainian corruption that caused at least $6 billion in U.S. taxpayer money sent to the Ukraine to disappear. The two offices that were raided were involved in a massive amount of money laundering. And there Donald Trump was, sitting in front of washing machines. Donald Trump is known to kind of give some hints and clues, subtle things that people can pick up on. And I've heard a lot of people say that. And at first I was like, that's just a coincidence. But then, you see more and more of them, and you're like, come on. Now, okay, this is getting a little bit too much. There's got to be some sort of intent here. It turns out that two of the Ukrainian oligarchs that ran Privat Bank, a large bank that got $1.8 billion in U.S. aid and lost it, laundered hundreds of millions of dollars through over a dozen shell companies, and then used and laundered the money to purchase real estate in Cleveland. So they basically used U.S. taxpayer money to purchase real estate in America as a foreign entity. And this was all helped. They were helped by the Obama administration to do this. For about a year and a half, ever since Rudy Giuliani revealed he was investigating the money trail of all of this stolen U.S. aid in Ukraine, the Democrats and the DNC media roundly mocked and lampooned him, but it didn't stop anything. And so here we have Ukrainian oligarch at the center of the Cleveland raid, described as a ruthless businessman who laundered. I can't see the rest. So let's review what happened over the last 3 days. Let's see. Trump's enemies got a huge tripwire tripped from 2 simultaneous FBI raids targeting the Privatbank stolen money laundering trail in Cleveland and Miami. Trump travels to Cleveland, poses in front of laundering machines. So yeah, they're picking up on this too. Kate suggests that the president stood in front of the washing machines, symbolizing money laundering. Trump says while he stands in front of laundering machines. Here you go. Trump then doesn't go back to the White House. Turns out the staff came out to see him off before he left for Cleveland because nobody's going to be seeing him for a while, and then he supposedly left Cleveland for his Bedminster resort in New Jersey. The assets for Ukrainian-related Optima are now seized. While Trump was appearing in Cleveland yesterday, this gets filed by the DOJ to seize assets Privatbank purchased when it's laundered money in Kentucky and with its laundered money in Kentucky and Texas. I'm not reading as well today. Guess I didn't sleep that well. I have not begun to pounce. So Brian Cates. Of course, all of the real estate, the Privatbank money was used to buy in Cleveland and Miami will also end up being seized. Now you know why Trump has been carefully setting up asset forfeiture for the past 3 years. And you can see highlighted, these are the properties. And I don't know if that looks like Miami. Yeah, because you can see the water there. That's definitely got to be Miami. So that's and I remember actually when Trump first got elected, he set up some assets forfeiture law or signed into executive order, and I remember I didn't like it because I wasn't thinking this large at the time. I was just thinking regular criminal activity, like, oh, if you're charged with something, they can take your property. And so I was thinking of it from a civil rights standpoint. I was not thinking of it from a corrupt deep state standpoint, because most of that information was not really widely available. We didn't really understand exactly what was going on. Trump knew, and that's why he ran for office, I think, is he wanted to take all this stuff out. So understand this clearly. Up until 3 days ago, a lot of the people involved in the massive worldwide corruption were likely telling themselves Trump wouldn't dare try this. The repercussions would be far too great. He would know they would come after him in sheer desperation. And with those raids and that very first of many asset forfeiture filings by the DOJ yesterday, these people now know the truth down to the marrow of their bones. Trump is really going to do it. He's really going to do it. He and Barr and Rudy are pulling the pin on this grenade. This may all finally be happening. And now that the pin has been pulled, the Democrats, the GOP involved, the foreign leaders getting out there involved, and the media, they all know where the grenade is being tossed. It's in the air now, coming towards them. This is exciting. I hope this isn't just speculation. I hope it's not, because this is great. Do not underestimate the desperation and the sheer viciousness of these people would descend into in their attempts to do whatever it takes to keep that grenade from landing in their midst and going off and completely exposing them. Trump certainly isn't. Bravo! This is awesome. So, we still got to wait and see what comes of this, but man, it seems like something's going on here. Something is definitely happening, and I think these people are about to bite the dust. I do. And I'm wondering if this is why Joe Biden isn't even campaigning. I don't know if you guys have noticed. He has sent 0 people door to door. Trump's visited Trump campaign has visited over 1 million homes, because door to door campaigning is still is still one of the best ways to reach people. He's been doing none of that. He hasn't picked a VP. He's been hiding in his basement. We've seen no Trump campaign. No Biden campaign signs. I see very little Biden ads on TV or social media or anything like that. It's almost like the guy's not even running. And there's been a lot of speculation as to what's going on here. We know that. I don't want to say we know, but we've got a significant amount of evidence that the Biden campaign has been using Black Lives money to launder unknowing donations from people who think they're, through the Act Blue organization. People have been donating to Black Lives Matter, and then supposedly, and this is what it looks like, a lot of that money is going unclaimed by BLM and then being donated to the Biden campaign, essentially laundering that money from people who think they're donating to BLM and end up actually just donating to Joe Biden. Because out of nowhere, right when the BLM riots started, Joe Biden suddenly started outraising Donald Trump, despite the fact that Donald Trump has been raising record amounts of money. I mean, just throughout the years. So maybe one of the reasons why he is not actually campaigning is they're waiting to find out if he gets indicted first. But he's already the presumptive nominee, and they're already so far in the game that it's going to be really difficult to switch him out. It's all going to be very, very last minute, which at the end of the day, I think that the Democrats are trying to sow chaos and absolute destruction in these elections. That's why we saw one of the holdups of the executive order that Trump signed just yesterday, where he's going to be extending benefits for the coronavirus. The Democrats are trying to work in things like not having to check signatures on ballots. They were literally saying, we will not pass this bill unless you take away election security. That reeks of corruption. Why would you want us to take away election security? It's almost like they want to commit voter fraud, or they're planning to commit voter fraud. We absolutely know they're planning to commit voter fraud. These people will stop at nothing for power. And that's why God help us if they ever get it. So I think Trump has a lot of things in the works to try to safeguard this election as much as possible. It's certainly not going to be perfect. There's still going to be a good bit of voter fraud. And what really concerns me, though, is that there's going to be no faith in the election. So all of the stuff that the Democrats are doing to undermine the election by getting rid of the security measures for the mail-in ballots and everything, it doesn't matter whether voter fraud actually happens. All that matters is that Americans are going to perceive that it was likely. And then they're going to have no faith in the election. And then it's going to be absolute chaos. Trump, he's going to end up back in office, and they're going to just, again, 4 more years of them calling him an illegitimate president. The Democrats have just sown the seeds of chaos in this country. And they do not deserve to be a political party anymore after this. They need to be in prison. The party needs to be abolished, and let the libertarians make it libertarians and Republicans from here on out. None of this lefty bullshit. None of this left-wing bullshit. Lefties deserve to be politically homeless in America because their political views they're incongruent with the Constitution of America. Those politics just should not be allowed here. Because most of the things that they actually push for are against the Constitution. And we need to further enact measures to make sure that our elected officials do not violate their oaths of office. If you are sworn in and you swear to defend the Constitution, and then you go and push gun control measures, you are in violation of your oath of office. You need to be expelled. So, anyways, guys, I know I got off on a tangent here at the end, but this is fascinating stuff, and I'm hoping we see some headlines soon. Of course, I'm sure the media is going to do everything they can to try to minimize these headlines. But if you like this video, please hit the like button, share this video, subscribe to the channel. I'm still trying to grow here. I do have a backup channel on BitChute in case I happen to get kicked off of YouTube, which I'm sure at some point will be likely. I don't think I'm a large enough channel yet, but with your help, I can grow to be big enough to be banned. Also, don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Parler at Ram Thorburn. And if you would like to contribute to the channel, there are links to my Subscribestar, Patreon, and PayPal down in the description below. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you like this video, and I hope you have a wonderful day.